Friends, it's Thursday night. It's Andy here with a Ask Andy Anything. Thursday nights, 9 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Savings Time is when I will be here every single week answering any questions that you have. Firstly, though, my friends, I've got a question for you. How's everything going? Let me know what your scores are out of 10. Let me know how your week's been so far, how you're looking for this coming weekend. There seems to be a lot of action kicking around in every single state, which is tremendous. It's really, really good to see. ANZ reneged on their pessimistic approach to the 2021 projections, which is great. And now that's another big lender that is now jumping on board with this rush that they're still quite surprised about. But clearly the federal budget was just aimed at creating loads more activity, and it's doing its job, to be perfectly frank. So gang, there's lots and lots of reasons to be optimistic right now, and we're talking sales and rentals here, right? So my better half, like she's been getting lots of really solid applications per property within a very, very short space of time. Lots of agents that I work with and know that are getting plenty of inspections, lots of inquiry, having to really budget how many people they let through each property, which is an interesting challenge, right? Because you don't know, it might be you let 30 in, it might be the 31st person that has that unbelievable sum of money. You just don't know, right? But that is, look, let's face it, it's a welcome problem to have when we've got more people to talk to than time to get them through property, which is a good thing. All right. So gang, let me know how you are going out of 10. Post it in the comments section below, just so I can get a feel for how everybody is flying so far. This morning had a really good webinar with the RAIV. We had Harry Lee, who was moderating a conversation between Aaron Davis from Harcourts over in New Zealand, Thomas McGlynn, Bressing Whitney up in New South Wales, and Justin Nickerson, who is obviously the most obviously, those who don't know, he's the most decorated auctioneer in the game. And look, a fascinating conversation with those. I mean, look, from a geek's point of view, from an auctioneer's point of view, it was really interesting to get their take on a couple of different things. None of them can even still believe that we still don't have compulsory buyer registrations at auctions, which is an interesting one. Opens us up to a few issues down the track, obviously. Hopefully not many of you have had to deal with anything as drastic as that. But gang, there's lots of really good discussions going on, and a lot more willing to collaborate interstate or inter-company or whatever the case may be, which is good, which is really solid. And I really hope that we can continue that on through the rest of this year and on to next year. But it does look like very much like it's action stations up until, I reckon, until after Santa's been and gone at the very least. One of the guys from the auction committee says he's got auctions happening on the 27th of December. We've got auctions getting booked in on the 22nd of December. So I think it's just going to be a bit of a long weekend this Christmas, and then everybody getting stuck in either side. So be ready. Now, gang, a question that's come through, and if you do have any questions, by the way, while I go through what's been asked of me tonight, please post them in the comment section, and we'll attack them as and when they come through. Okay, I'll tackle this main topic first on getting beat by commission and whatnot, but then we'll answer any questions that you've got. So if you do have any questions that pop up, post them in there. We'll get to them tonight, and then if we have too many or whatever, then I'll look at bringing them in to the next discussion next week. So this was the one that was being posed to me. I'm starting to lose more often based on commission, and my competitors are going really low now. ... Help. Right. So this one is becoming quite common. So obviously with the amount of action that we've got now and the opportunities that are starting to come through, and then comparing it to the ground that we need to make up over the course of the year that we've just had, the temptation is, right, to take on stock at any price, at any level of commission and all that sort of stuff. Now, from a price point of view, in terms of pricing property, I can understand a degree of ambition when it comes to the fact that we're dealing in an upward trending market, we're seeing time and time again the ability to just go over and above what it is that you even thought was possible, let alone your vendors. It's happening right now. So, gang, what I really want to drill down on is this whole topic of commission, because I put it out there as a warning, as an absolute warning to those of you that were feeling like they really need to just get their hands on as much stock as possible. If you fall into the trap of just winning listings based on commission, then that is the only way that you will win business moving forward. And if that's all that you've got in your arsenal, in your kit bag, then you're going to be in deep trouble, because let's face it, cost of running a business is not getting any lower, right? So we've got to make sure that we can maintain a level of commission that is acceptable from a business point of view, but also comfortable for a vendor. Look, ultimately, they will only feel uncomfortable about a level of commission that you are preparing to charge if you've not justified that value to Mr. and Mrs. Vendor. It is a simple matter of fact that, look, ultimately, if you're trying to charge 2% and you've got, Agent Y who's trying to charge 1%, and they go with Agent Y, that is not that agent's fault, nor is it the vendor's fault. Ultimately, gang, you've not been able to justify in their minds why you are worth that much more money than the other agent. And it's a matter of, like, I always, if I ever lost one, it was never because of commission. I had my levels that I charged at, and I believed I was worth and believed I provided value at that level as well. But if I lost that, it's clearly because I wasn't able in that meeting to translate what that value will mean to them moving forward. And that is my problem. That is my issue, not theirs. Ultimately, gang, they will work in numbers if no one gives them a real emotionally intelligent reason to go elsewhere. If you stay in that intellectual ballpark and just talk numbers and facts and figures and all the rest of it, then that's all you're going to end up talking about when it comes to getting the reward that you feel that you deserve. Okay, so Michael, we'll talk about Arsenal shortly. This is the first question I want to ask. Okay, this is the first question I want to ask. I want to get this out there. I had a really good lunch catch up with a guy who I have a tremendous amount of respect for yesterday, and we were both saying the same thing here. If you asked 10 agents what makes them different from anybody else, and I'm talking sales or PM, I would hazard a guess that there'd probably be at least 8 out of 10 of them that would not be able to answer this question. At least 8 out of 10, if not 9 out of 10. So you've got to think about what makes you so different. Now, whenever I have asked that of agents that I've either worked with or communicated with or whatever the case may be, I could pretty much guarantee the vast majority of the time that we're going to get one of perhaps 2 or 3 answers. Our service is different, or our service is better, or you know what, we work so hard for our clients. Yeah, well, good, you and every other agent. Look, we've got tailored marketing strategies. Right, the next agent that I catch saying that they do a tailored marketing strategy and then can't provide one and just get out the standard VPA thing that might have a gold, silver, bronze, or whatever the tier system is that you pick. If that's all you've got, that is not tailored marketing. That is not tailored marketing in any way, shape, or form. You've just been fed that by some BS, whoever it is, trainer, who said that, right, you've got to have a tailored marketing strategy. You've got to be able to. It just blows my mind the amount of people that say that and then have it complete opposite. And they try and fluff it by saying, right, well, because Mr. and Mrs. Vendor, you've got a property that's, good family home, we think that we're going to tailor your strategy so that we've got on realestate.com and on social media. Great. That you and everybody else now. So those things, guys, are all about what you do. They're not how you do it or why you do it. It's just what you do. Yeah. So we take you through, we take people, we bring people to the property, we market the property, Mr. and Mrs. Vendor. We then, engage with buyers and we get them to come to the home and have a look through their house. And then we look at trying to negotiate them to a price that's acceptable for you. That is what you do, gang. I'm telling you, if you can't articulate the answer to this question, then the only thing you have got to play with is your commission and your VPA expenses, both of which will sting your back pocket if that's all you negotiate with. Okay? Ultimately, that's what will happen. The agents and the agencies that do charge that cheaper commission and whatnot, and they're going for a no frills thing, is because they will just focus on getting what it is that they need to get done. And I'm not saying that doesn't have a place in the game, right? Especially when you're in an upward trending market and you say that we should be able to get 800,000 every day of the week. Well, if that's the case, then why are you charging me like 16K or 18K if you think that you should be able to get it done in a week and a half to 2 weeks? Why? Justify that for me. And that is an understandable train of thought from the vendor's point of view, right? And this is my whole thing. You can't just talk about what it is that you do. Now, the next step would be to talk about how you could do it. And we talk about this topic now. What type of agent are you? Are you a what agent? Are you a how agent? Or are you a why agent? And this is all tied in with the golden circles from Simon Sinek. So don't worry, I know where I've got it from. I'm not just claiming that this is my thing. But in terms of how it relates to yourself as a real estate agent, this is where we've got to think about it a lot more. Because the vast majority will sit in that what pocket, okay? This is what we do. We market your property. We get it on realestate.com. We take some professional photography. The how agents, which may account for, say, 15% of the marketplace. We say 80% are in the what, about 15% are in the how of professionals, in my opinion, where they will understand how certain things on realestate.com works, how you can utilize targeted advertising in order to attract a much more specific audience on Facebook, for example. They will understand how these things work. They understand their tools of trade, and they make sure that they apply that how to the situation, which gives them a much better shot, right? Because they're showing a greater level of intelligence in terms of how they go about their game, yeah? Now, I reckon 5% are in this one here. 5%, I reckon, tops. Maybe 7 or 8. 5% though, why agents? If you understand why you do what you do, why you go across certain things, why it is important that that particular vendor needs to come on board with you for their own sake, and more importantly, why you even get out of bed in the morning to do what it is that you do, if you can articulate that, you will not have an issue around commission. You will not. It will go from a conversation of, well, what do you charge, to a conversation of, okay, what do I need to pay? And it's a much different conversation. Well, my friends, you really do need to look at yourselves in the mirror here, because there's lots of people that say they know their why, and they know, why they are better than their competitors in their humble opinion, and so on and so forth. One, a lot of you don't now, even now. But two, even if you do know why, you really struggle to articulate it in a way that doesn't make you sound like a little bit of an egotistical arsehole. All right? Now, in the why column, you'll also have things like, well, reason why people need to go with us is because, we've got the market share. We're the agents that have sold the most amount of properties in the area. There's a big difference between volume and capability, quantity and quality. There really is. Yes, market share does play a part to a degree, but when you're in a marketplace where buyers will be looking at properties from 4 different suburbs all at the same time anyway, is it really that important? Not sure. And the thing about market share agents, right, the ones that really hang their hat on market share, is the fact that if you understand your competition, it's a completely irrelevant point, to be perfectly frank. It really is. And we'll talk about, because someone else asked me about, do I need to get to know what my competitors do and all that sort of stuff. We'll talk about that maybe next week. That's a whole other topic entirely. But gang, you firstly need to understand why you represent the value that you believe you're worth. Now, for me, one of my lines that I said, which sort of represented why I do what I do and why I go about it the way I go about it, is that I would say openly to vendors before they've listed, I'd say, look, I know that we need to both come to an agreement that we're both going to be comfortable with you, because obviously this is your biggest asset. You want to make sure you make the most out of it. I totally get that. I need to ensure that if I'm going to be spending time away from my family, my wife, my kids consciously, it needs to be worth it. And that was literally the reason why, you know, I would charge the community. It's not because of profit margin. It's because unless I believe that it's worth spending time away from my family, there's no point in me being there, because I won't be in it. I won't be emotionally invested in it. I had no harm in admitting that to people in any way, shape, or form. So you've got to make sure, gang, that whatever your motivation is, wear it on your sleeve. So if you are driven by, look, and again, there's no harm in saying you're driven by money, but being able to articulate why that is important to Mr. and Mrs. Vendor, it's a real fine line you're treading there. So if you are driven by money, like, no problem. That's absolutely fine. You can still be motivated by money and still do a cracking job for Mr. and Mrs. Vendor. Of course you can. But you've got to be able to say it to them in a way that doesn't make you look like you're a commission-chasing moron. You say to them, look, I need to know that I need to know that I've got the most amount of money for your home. And it realistically, Mr. and Mrs. Vendor, it kind of doesn't, you know, you're a great byproduct of my motivation, because I just want to make sure I get the most amount of money, because then that means that I'm going to get more doors open down the track, which means I'm going to get more chances of getting more business. That's my motivation. You're just a happy byproduct of that, because you know full well that I'll be gunning to make sure that I am better than everybody else. You really need to get a grip of this, gang, because otherwise you might as well just drop your pants and just play off commission. That's all you've got. I was chatting to a few people about the word transactional, right? The word transactional, how we are very much a transactional industry, and the names in lights have all been put in there because of their transactions, yeah? The volume of transactions, the volume of money they've written on contracts, which for me is just the biggest pile of bullshit known to man, personally. I personally think that just means jack shit to Mr. and Mrs. Vendor. But anyway. If we remain as a transactional industry, we will have nowhere to go but down when it comes to price, because things get more efficient, right? Technology comes into the game, right? And makes it easier for you to get more done in less time. So if we're not looking at providing value with each transaction, with each property, and we're just going for volume of transactions, you've almost kind of got to make a business decision here. If you're going to go down that path with a great deal of conviction, knowing you will be absolutely limiting the charges, the fees, the commissions that you will be able to charge per transaction. Now, can you have both quantity and quality? 100%. As long as you can scale that value that you bring. But gang, you've got to work on articulating why you are worth any more than Joe Agent down the road who's doing all the exactly same stuff in the what category. They might know how just the same as you. If you can't articulate why and resonate with your clients with that, it is just a race to the bottom with commission. But you can provide that why. And that why will get some emotional engagement from them that will take them beyond the facts and figures and make them want to feel happy with who they're dealing with. And it's the thing that barely anybody talks about. This whole cliche thing, like knowing your why and all that sort of stuff, that's been bastardized to kingdom come in corporate land, in my opinion, right? Absolutely ripped to shreds. Because the personalization of it is what makes those golden circles work. You can't have company, you can't use company whys for your why. We are a human to human industry, right? Yes, you might have company values. You got your own values as well. That's what the humans across the other side of the table are going to be looking for. Because last time I checked, there ain't no brand, not one real estate brand that is that strong that people inherently know what their values are. The public I'm talking about. Hell, a lot of agents that work for them don't even know. Okay? It's way easier to remember your own values, though, and win business based off that. All right, gang. So, g'day, Jen. Hope you're well. Dira, thank you for coming. The 1% agent might be the solo agent from home. Not in this case, my man. There's plenty of agents that are offering very, very cheap comms that are in branded agencies. That's not, unfortunately, it's a bit wild of the mark. Thoughts on Arsenal this week, mate? It's International Week. Get with the program. I thought you were into sport, mate. Gang, it's an interesting topic of discussion. I really need to hammer this home because ultimately you will lose to technology. You will lose to your cheaper competitors if you don't know why people would go with you as the human. That's what they're going for. That's what they're looking for. If you can't provide that to them, then you're giving them no choice but to go with a cheaper agent because you're always talking in logic. You're always talking about the logic of the situation, the logic of the scenario, the logic of the price. Okay? You got to make them feel as well as think. And that only comes realistically because people spot bullshit a mile off. So if you can say, oh yeah, look, I'm really hardworking and I just really like to be authentic in everything that I do and blah, 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 blah. Don't talk, be. And you'll be, and I'm very logical in a lot of respects, but I do believe in, the aura that you carry, it translates to your clients. And it's cool, right? If you're not authentic, like if you're saying that you care about and you don't say that you care about them. Talk to them about the business of real estate and what really drives you within that and why that is going to help to enable you to help them to a much greater extent. Okay? Anyway, that's for 2 cents for this Thursday night. Hopefully that's helped one or two of you because realistically, gang, look, stock is starting to come on board a little bit more, yeah, but lots of people are whinging about lack of stock. So right now, if you're shy on opportunities, you've got to give yourself a high probability of getting the right result. And if you are sat in this why part of it, if you are sat in the what part of this whole, are you a what, how, or a why agent? If you're in that 80-odd%, 85%, you have barely any chance of getting that business unless you're the cheapest. Okay? No one likes that. Okay? Are you a what? Are you a how? Are you a why agent? Off the show that I had on Property TV this Monday with Leah Cowan, great show, and I really appreciate her being on board. She said a question, and I'll close with this. She said a question that investors should ask themselves, and that we as property management professionals should be asking all of our vendors, because it will go a long way to ascertaining how they like to roll as an investor, right? But I think, and she asked the question, what type of investor are you? Well, I think we can think about that. What type of, from a professional point of view, what type of professional are you? Because you've got to own that. If you own that, you're going to win business, even if you are an arsehole. But if you own the fact that you're an arsehole, you can still do extremely well, because you're just being upfront about it. The transparency would be so apparent. I'm not saying you go around being an arsehole to everyone, obviously, but you know what I mean? You got to understand who you are, own who you are, so you can move forward and not have to convince anyone to do anything. That's ultimately what I believe. You should never have to convince anyone to do anything, because to convince someone implies that you are getting them, manipulating them to go against their better judgment. You should never have to do that. If you're true to yourself, you know why you're there, for you and for them, it makes it a little bit more straightforward for everybody. I like simple. Simple is great. Okay? But you need, I mean, look, there's loads of people that sat in the what category that wouldn't have a Scooby-Doo as to how things work or how they go about doing this, that, and the other. They're just doing what they're told, right? They're just robots that that either have been drilled to being that way, or they haven't been asked to put in the effort to actually improve how they rock and roll. Okay? Well, it ain't gonna last that long. This game is about to get, well, it already is, but it's about to get incredibly competitive. It is already. But the changing in franchise models and systems and all that sort of stuff is going to enable people to do things at a bit more of a lean rate. What are you going to do about it? You can either join them or prove who you are and how you rock and roll and why. All right, then, gang. I'm going to love you and leave you. I hope that helped in some way, shape, or form. I'm really quite passionate about this sort of stuff. So if you do have any questions, make sure that you get in touch with me. Send me a DM, post a comment in the section below. Let me know what your thoughts are. Let me know if you disagree. Let me know if you just need to do volume and just keep picking up the phone and saying the same script over and over again, and you'll get all the business that you could ever want, which is bollocks. It's just nonsense. But anyway, if that's the way you rock and roll, let me know. I'm saying you got to work on your quality instead of just trying to bash home quantity. It's a fast race to insanity, that. Okay? All right, gang. Love you and leave you. Wish you all the very best for the upcoming weekend. I'll be rocking and rolling the gavel across the Saturday, as my Sunday auctions were sold in advance. So Saturday I'll be kicking around, and if anybody wants to have a watch, I'll be on Facebook Live, and I think one or two of the crews are going to have us across other platforms as well. But gang, enjoy your weekend. Make sure it's productive as possible. Make sure you're spending valuable time having quality conversations with the people that really want to get things done. If you have any dramas, have any issues, have any concerns, feel free to hit me up. Numbers on the bottom of the screen there. But gang, please stay safe, stay healthy. Most importantly, though, my friends, please make sure that you stay happy. Take care, my friends. Take care. All the very best, and rock and roll this weekend.